Taliban say, "We won't fight U.S. face-to-face." Taliban fighters plan to disguise themselves as civilians during a looming NATO offensive in southern Afghanistan, a militant commander told NBC News. Minivans piled high with mattresses and clothing lined up at checkpoints Sunday as hundreds and hundreds of civilians fled a Taliban-controlled area in Helmand province. The U.S. military has not given a start date for the operation to clear insurgents from the town of Marjah, the biggest community in the south under insurgent control. But the military has said fighting will start soon, and many residents weren't taking any chances. The militants, meanwhile, dug in for a fight, reinforcing their positions with rocket-propelled grenades and heavy weapons. According to witnesses, "We will shake their hands." But a Taliban commander told NBC News that many insurgents would simply wait out the offensive. What, they will walk down empty streets? The militant leader asked. They, U.S. and coalition troops, will come in and announce that they have conquered the area. We will let them come in. They are welcome. They will ask, "Are there any Taliban in their area?" We will say, "Yes, but they have left." The Taliban leader added. "We will not fight them face to face," he said. "We will shake their hands as civilians. Then they will leave." The U.S. military has often had trouble identifying Taliban militants when they attempt to blend into the local population. The insurgent leader said the insurgents specialize in guerrilla tactics and have no intention of confronting the U.S. military head-on. Maybe there will be some bombs for them, or a few suicide bombers will blow up among them. But we will not fight directly, the Taliban commander said. And this is the problem. How can you win when you don't even know who the enemy is? On Sunday, American aircraft dropped leaflets over Marjah, warning people of the coming offensive, officers said, and the U.S. fired illumination rounds after sundown, apparently to help spot Taliban positions. Villagers said the leaflets were aimed primarily at the militants, listing several of their commanders by name and warning fighters to leave the area or be killed. U.S. General Stanley McChrystal, the top NATO commander in Afghanistan, said the success of the operation depends on convincing civilians the government will improve services once the militants are gone. The offensive in Marjah, a farming community and major opium production center with a population of 80,000, will be the first since President Barack Obama announced he was sending 30,000 additional troops. Afghan President Hamid Karzai discussed the ongoing operations in Helmand province in a telephone conversation Sunday with British Prime Minister Gordon Brown, a spokesperson for Brown said. The spokesperson said they welcomed the leading role played by Afghan security forces in preparing for the offensive, stressing that Afghan leadership was fundamental to the success of the operation. U.S. officials have long telegraphed their intention to seize Marjah. McChrystal said the element of surprise was not as important as letting citizens know that an Afghan government will supposedly be there to replace Taliban overlords and drug traffickers. We're trying to create a situation where we communicate to them that when the government reestablishes security, they'll have choices, McChrystal said. The International Committee of the Red Cross said there was no way to count the number of people who have left Marjah because many have moved in with relatives or rented houses in nearby towns instead of registering for emergency relief. Everybody is worried. Everybody is worried that they'll get caught in the middle when this operation starts, said a 55-year-old tribal leader in Marjah. He said fear has risen over the past 2 weeks, and he knows at least 20 families who had left. Afghan and NATO officers had visited village elders to encourage them to make sure people stay inside their homes and avoid road travel once the operation begins. The Taliban were not preventing villagers from leaving, but were digging trenches and carrying in new heavy weapons on motorbikes. Many people were afraid to leave their fields and brave the bad winter roads, villagers said. Deputy Police Chief arrested. If the U.S. and NATO strategy is to succeed in Afghanistan, they also need to train Afghan government forces to take over their own security so the international troops can eventually withdraw. But relations between foreign Afghan forces have often been uneasy, and that will be no easy task. And at what cost, and how long? And a sign of those strains, NATO-led forces said Sunday they had arrested a deputy provincial police chief. They are accused of helping insurgents place roadside bombs north of Kabul. Officials said he was an honest and good officer defending him. NATO said he was arrested Friday for involvement in the storage, distribution, and planting of roadside bombs, as well as corruption related to road reconstruction. And that is just the tip of the iceberg of the corruption that is rampant in Afghanistan. So, in other words, the Taliban are saying that when the Americans or the NATO comes into town, they will simply just blend into the local population, act and look like everybody else. Well, actually, they are the local population in many ways, in many areas. This is how it is. And these are more signs of the end times, transition days. Everything that must change quickly or rapidly. Huge changes are happening. They are in the process. And all these things are more signs. And they are happening day by day all around the world.